A black high school student in Texas was suspended because school officials stated that his locks violated the district's dress code. Daryl George, a junior at Barbers High School in Mont Belvieu, received an in school suspension after he was told that his hair fell below his eyebrows and earlobes. George, age 17, wears his hair in thick, twisted locks tied up on top of his head. George was served a suspension last week. His mother stated he plans to return to the Houston area school Monday, wearing his locks in a ponytail, even if it requires him to attend an alternative school as a result. The incident recalls debates over hair discrimination in schools and workplace and is already testing the state's newly enacted Crown Act, which took effect September 1st. The Crown Act, which stands for Create a Respectful and Open World for Natural Hair, is intended to prohibit race based hair discrimination and bars employers and schools from penalizing people because of hair texture or protective hairstyles, including afros, braids, locks, twists, or bantu knots. Texas is one of 24 states that has enacted a version of the Crown Act. A federal version of the Crown Act passed in the House of Representatives last year, but was not successful in the Senate. Barbers High School states that it wasn't discrimination to suspend Daryl George for his hairstyle because his hair fell below his eyebrows and earlobes. In George's family, all of the men have locks going back generations. To them, the hairstyle has cultural and religious importance. Quote, our hair is where our strength is. That's our roots. He has his ancestors locked into his hair, and he knows that. Historians have also stated that braids and other hairstyles served as a method of communication across African societies, including to identify tribal affiliations or marriage status, and as clues to safety and freedom for those who were captured and enslaved. After slavery was abolished, black Americans' hair became political. Although the Civil Rights Act of 1964 banned discrimination on the basis of race, color, religion, sex, and national origin, black people continue to face professional and social stigma for not adopting grooming habits that fit white European beauty standards and norms. Miss George stated that her son has been growing his locks for nearly 10 years, and the family never received pushback or complaints until now. When let down, his locks hang above his shoulders. She stated that she couldn't understand how he violated the dress code when his hair was pinned up. Quote, I've had a discussion about the Crown Act with the principal and vice principal. They said the act does not cover the length of his hair. Barbers Hill Independent School District prohibits male students from having hair extended below the eyebrows, earlobes, or top of a t-shirt collar. Additionally, hair on all students must be cleaned, well groomed, geometrical, and not an unnatural color or variation. The school does not require uniforms. The school previously clashed with another black male student over the dress code. Barber Hills officials told the student that he had to cut his locks to return to school or participate in graduation in 2020, which garnered national attention. Greg Pooley, who has been district superintendent since 2006, stated that the policy is legal and teaches students to conform as a sacrifice benefiting everyone. Quote, when you are asked to conform and give up something for the betterment of the whole, there is a psychological benefit. We need more teaching of sacrifice. Nearby districts have less stringent policies in place. For example, Pulley noted that others allow students to wear jeans with holes in them, while Barber Hill does not. He stated that parents come to the district of its strict standards and high expectations, which he credits for the district's academic success. Attorney Ali Booker, who represents the family, stated that the school's argument doesn't hold up because length is considered part of a hairstyle, which is protected under law. Quote, we are going to continue to fight because you can't tell someone that hairstyles who are protected and then be restricted. If style is protected, then style is protected. Miss George stated that she and her son refused to conform to a standard set by someone who is uncomfortable or ignorant. Quote, my son is well groomed, and his hair is not a distraction from anyone's education. This has everything to do with the administration being prejudiced towards black hairstyles, towards black culture. The district defends its dress code, which states its policies are met to teach grooming and hygiene, instill discipline, prevent disruption, avoid safety hazards, and teach respect of authority. Earl George completed his suspension as of Friday, but his mother is concerned about what will happen Monday when he returns to school with his locks in a ponytail. Quote, he will be up to dress code on Monday with his locks, which do not go past his eyebrows or his earlobes. School officials have told the mother that they plan to enroll her son in an alternative school if they believe he continued to violate the dress code. After suspension, his grades are suffering, which also means he is not able to play football or participate in any extracurricular activities. He was on track to graduate early, and now he is falling behind and will have to work double time just so he can still graduate. The family has considered switching school districts, stating, quote, that's a fight in its own right. So we've been dealing with this for the last several years. I stated before that this is going to be something that's continuous no matter what laws are actually passed. It's up to those schools to actually follow those things. They have their own code and conduct and all these other types of things, rules and regulations, what have you. So, as we can clearly see, the same school that was listed in the news before is right back in the news again. And the main thing that I would just commonly state that I have stated to black people before is the options of going to a different school that would allow the hairstyle with no problem, or you would also homeschool. Um, because realistically, I'm just at the point where this is not even a fight. Just going to be real. This is not even a fight. He is a smart kid. He's obviously excelling at a very high rate when it deals with his education, his grades, as which was stated by the mother that he was going to pretty much he was on track to graduate ahead of time, right? Because of how much he was really pushing. I'm pretty sure that this did put a damper on his energy, on how it is that he was going about school and wanted to care about certain things because a lot of the things that he wanted to do were associated with the school. So he had friends, right? He had people that he hung out with, he had peers, classmates, probably teachers that he liked as well. On top of the fact that he was a part of the football team too. So I'm pretty sure that that also meant a lot directly to him. Right. And that's something that was, in a sense, taken away from him by way of the school and how it is that they want to go about the quote unquote dress code, even though we have the Crown Act, which covers his hairstyle, but they wanted to say, oh, but specifically, it doesn't directly go into the length. It doesn't cover the length. So within that, we're completely covered in wanting to 100%, not have him at the school and wanting to suspend him. And if he comes back here and his hair is not cut, then guess what? We're going to have to put him in an alternative school, right? So that's what the school system has already made a decision on what it is that they're going to do. So more than likely, when he returns, he's going to be set up for an alternative school. They already, as soon as before the story even broke, they already knew what they were going to do. They already knew that they were going to throw him in an alternative school so that they can get away from this whole thing. And again, I'm just going to state to a lot of black parents out there, stop putting your kids specifically in schools like this where there is a potentiality that the way that their hair is, such, as Bantu knots, such as cornrows, such as locks, or any other type of African black hairstyle would be criticized or critiqued or be made to state that is within violation. Because you got to remember who's making these rules at the end of the day. It's white people, it's Europeans, it's Caucasians. We don't they don't have the same type of hair. They don't have the same type of beliefs. They don't have the same type of culture, the same type of hair texture. They don't have the same type of living experience. So they don't care. This is why they made sure to highlight directly in their article that, we need to get back to a point where people are willing to sacrifice something, right? Because that's what they're about. That's the same thing that they told black people way back when, that hey, in order to be a part of this country, you have to give up something. So you got to give up your religion. You got to give up your indigenous name. You have to give up your native tongue. You have to take on the name that we give you. You have to take on the language that we give you. You have to take on the religion that we give you. You have to cut off your hair as well. All of these tribal affiliations and everything that you know, that is no longer, right? We are your gods. You are going to conform to us or you are going to die off. That's where all of that stems from. It's a point of control, right? That's them trying to state that they have control specifically over this young black boy and how it is that he is deemed presentable. Because the funniest thing, like I said before, outside of this whole school, when it deals with the world, his hair is fine. If he was to play football on a national stage, it don't matter if it's the NCAA. It don't matter if he was in NHL. It don't matter if he was in NASCAR. It don't matter if he was in the NBA. His hair will be completely fine and dandy. Matter of fact, if he was to even run track for the United States, dealing with the Olympics, his hair would be completely fine, right? Again, everywhere else, the hair is fine. It just deals with this specific school because they want to have a certain type of a control. And, the quicker that people realize where a lot of this comes from or where it stems from, the better it'll be.